Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. If I look exactly the same as in the last video, it's because it's been about 3 minutes since we filmed our last video, but we'll put them out on different days. Finished filming and Caleb comes into me holding these. He's like, take a guess what laid these. I had no idea. I wasn't expecting eggs from anything. Obviously, they're not ball python eggs. And he goes, Sorsha. This is Sorsha, the female Amboinensis. So she's a sailfin dragon, but not one of the pustulatus like we usually breed. And she's never been with a male. Now, that's not crazy. Lots of animals, especially lots of lizards, can lay infertile eggs. That's not unusual. It's very exciting, though, for a few reasons. First, they're perfect. Caleb mentioned they're a little thick, which we've noticed before. You know, when they're infertile, very heavily calcified. So probably she wanted to lay them a few days before she actually did. That's kind of our guess. We didn't have a nest box in there because we had no clue she was ready to go. So when we got her, she was fine. But within 24 hours, she crashed hard, okay? And we have spent months nursing her back to health. We thought she was gonna die. I mean, I could pick her up by the middle and she would just droop down. We were certain she was a goner. This happens with wild-caught animals. And sailfins are notorious for that. And apparently, I didn't know this, Amboinensis is even more notorious for doing that than any of the other species of sailfin. So she really just plummeted hard, lost her appetite, lost her strength, her back legs pretty much stopped working. We were like, well, we're not going to give up on her, right? And we were feeding her, you know, special like vet formulated diet, just really liquidy, so we could just dribble some. We didn't want to intubate her, but we would put some in her mouth and she would swallow it, especially if we'd massage her throat. But we're like, this is a last ditch effort, right? Well, it worked. She started to perk back up. You know, for many months, it was just kind of in a holding pattern, like she wasn't getting any worse. But then she started to really put on weight. She started to put on strength. And there's kind of been two transitions that helped a ton. One, she started eating on her own. We didn't have to do that anymore. And because it obviously is going to stress her out a lot to pull her out and put something in her mouth. Once she would just eat on her own, she started to improve a lot faster. And then maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, she started actually climbing up to her basking spot on her own as well. It used to be every day we would take her and we'd put her on her basking spot for a few hours. She could kind of move up and down, so we knew we weren't roasting her, but she couldn't really turn around and climb down with enough strength. And she'd been getting in and out of her water, but she couldn't quite make that climb up there. Well, a couple weeks ago, she felt like she had enough strength, and obviously she did, because she started going up and down, became much more of a normal sailfin dragon, acting and behaving more like the rest of our sailfins. Eating a ton, an absolute ton of food, getting in the water like crazy, drinking a ton, staying hydrated, basking on her own, good UV spot, lots of heat, and she put on strength just really, really rapidly. But I would have never guessed that she would feel good enough to cycle. This is a really, really good sign. Now, we are not going to breed her immediately. She's obviously sexually mature. She's obviously on the mend. We would probably like to see at least a couple more months, though, of just perfect sailfin behavior, if that makes sense. We want to make sure that she is completely over it before we, introduce a new stress to her. But I'm now encouraged that it's going to be a kind of stress that she can handle, right? This is really, really, really good news for her. And I would encourage, just from our experience, which is just one experience, I totally get that. If you have an animal, certainly a sailfin, that does that kind of, they just crash. I don't know what else to call it. No appetite, no energy, eyes droopy, looks terrible, color is fading. I mean, it looks like the animal's just dying. Don't give up on them and get food into them. If you have the time and you're able to do like what we did, where we were putting her in the water every day, putting her on her basking spot every day, and feeding her every day, that for us worked. And I'm pretty confident that we are, she's what, 90% back to normal, I would say. She's got full motion and strength. I wouldn't say full strength yet, but her back legs kicked back in. She has gone through a couple full sheds and looks really good. So yeah, I'm as surprised as you are. This means probably next year at some point. It's October, so maybe in the spring we could start breeding her. And have some good hopes of getting eggs. So I'm actually kind of hoping she doesn't do a bunch of cycles now in a row. She might, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we are going to put a nest box in there for her because, it can stress them out to feel like they need to lay eggs and there's nowhere safe to put them. So we will put in a nest box for her, but we kind of hope she won't keep laying eggs and wasting that energy where she should be healing. But it's okay because she is almost completely healed already. And, she's eating well, so I think we're good to go. But I just wanted to show you guys because we were shocked. Do you want to show her up close one more time? But yeah, so let me know what you think. A couple of you who watch who are really into sail fins, if you have anything to say, I am all ears. But I always say the one benefit or silver lining maybe of when an animal gets sick is it sure does help their socialization because we had to be, pulling her in and out every day and checking on her constantly. A lot more handling than we would normally do with a new animal, but it was necessary to keep her alive. And she's now certainly not a tame animal, but she is way more comfortable around us than she would have been at this stage if she'd stayed healthy. So again, I would never wish illness on any animal, but we are on the mend. We're excited. Next year we may have some babies from our sail fin. This is again an amboinensis, so Hydrosaurus amboinensis. This is one of the Indonesian species, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, super, super, super excited. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.